Family and friends alike are all mourning the death of musician Tsepo Tshola. It's appropriate then to also speak to Lebohang Morake, or Lebo M as he's popularly known. And equally appropriate, dare I say, on this Mandela Day to talk about the collaboration that Lebo M had with Tsepo Tshola on a song to celebrate 10 years of democracy. Lebo M joining us now via our video link. Baba, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Often...
Thank you.
Lovely. You know, it's not often that we get to moments where we have to reflect on the passing of institutions, really. Babu Tsepo Tshola certainly being one of them.
First of all, thank you, if just using the words institution, because he was an icon. And my condolences to all the families that have lost life in these trying times that we're living in. We're aware and we're all living in pain right now. Many families are going through this difficult time, so our condolences to the nation. We are also in the music industry suffering great loss. On my way to this interview, I just heard that another great guitar player, producer, Lawrence Machiza, who also happened to have worked with myself and Tsepo Tshola, has just passed on last night. So it is indeed a difficult time. But we're a strong nation. We've gone through worse, obviously nothing worse than this. But losing one of the remaining great 70s, 80s, and 90s icon, Tsepo Tshola, has been rather quite different. It's a painful moment for us on behalf of myself and the industry and all the musicians that have come across this great man.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I guess perhaps in some respects, the benefit for musicians is that their work lives on, and they, through their work, live on. One would hope that the kind of songs you put together with Tsepo Tshola to commemorate 10 years of our democracy will work towards that end.
Yes, well, I was fortunate. I met Tsepo when I was 16 years old, when I went to exile in Lesotho with everybody else from Sankomota. And over the years, he's basically one of three of my great idols. He was a great conversation holder, a great teacher, and his wisdom beyond music was always an inspiration. And he was always a phone call away for me. When we did this project, Celebrate 10 Years, I don't know where he was, but he came to the studio at about 10 p.m. and we did that project, and we've been together sharing life for so many years now. That project, obviously, I never really did release it, but now my team and everyone is talking about releasing the project and many other projects.
Yeah, and you know,
such as this one.
Sure. And you speak about, you know, the wisdom of Tsepo Tshola. I can't help but think of how it's especially wisdom we need in the times we're living through, these turbulent, unpredictable, and unprecedented times, even on this Mandela Day. Yes.
It's very hard to comprehend because it's also deeply emotional. Yet, like I said earlier, we have great reservoir for inspiration. It's Mandela Day. Ironically, 27 years later, we're still going through trials and tribulation when our great icon, Tata Mandela, spent 27 years. So I'm very much about symbolic things and symbolic numbers. With such a great history as we have, especially us in the creative arts, there must be something strong and something much bigger that is coming our way. So I believe very strongly that through trial and tribulation, a better future is ahead for us. And us being in the creative industry, our responsibility in hard times is to inspire. And how best can you inspire than look at the work of Tsepo Tshola and many on that that have come and gone, but have left a great legacy for us to seek guidance from and inspire the nation and indeed inspire the world.
Yeah, I want to stay with that thinking if I can, Lebo. The role of music we've seen in the past has managed to transform societies and lives. I wonder how much of that can happen to take us from where we are to where we hope to be as a nation like this, especially in a context where, again, it's a multiplicity of issues that we're actually worming our way through as a country?
Right. There are many ways to look at that. We have infrastructures that need to be in place, and we have systems that need to be put in place that allow for music and musicians in the creative community to be the leading inspiration, as we've always been in hard times and in difficult times. And there's no time better than now for us in the creative industry, especially led through music. Music has really been the ambassador, and musicians have really been ambassador on behalf of our country and our culture globally for years. And it is times like these where we come together and we become the leading inspiration. But also, we also do need the infrastructure and the support, both from corporate and government systems, to allow for the creative community to do the right thing and produce and deliver quality work that continues to inspire.
Yeah, and it's sometimes in moments like this where you wonder what the greats like Tsepo Tshola would say to try and lift us from what feels really like a lull even in the national mood. I imagine he's left you with some lessons too, perhaps some of them inadvertently without his knowledge. Are any of those lessons foremost of mind for you at this time?
Most important, one thing Tsepo had, the man was full of life. In the worst times, he'll have that laugh. In the worst times, he'll have a melody. He'll have a lyric. He was a very poetic man, full of life. So you don't need, sometimes you don't need money. You don't need a lot of things to be inspired. What I take from life shared with Tsepo, and I believe most musicians and most people that have come across this great man, is the energy and the life and his wisdom and his willingness to share with anyone near him. I mean, he'll be extreme to some great extent. But it's sometimes, now you're able to reflect on, wow, I wonder if he knew that his time would come, and therefore the urgency for him to leave inspiration, to be so overtly in your face, for sharing his wisdom and his spirit and his energy. And that's what I take from having had the blessing of being around Tsepo Tshola.
Without a doubt. On a time like this Mandela Day, we typically speak a lot about preserving Madiba's legacy, right? Ways through which we can keep it alive, nurture it, and perhaps stretch it as far as we can. How do we do that with Tsepo Tshola's legacy as well? Especially because it does fit quite poetically, doesn't it, in what typically is the national conversation, issues of legacy.
We look at his work, his lyrics, Madamba Damba, fun, upbeat song, great melody, but what are the lyrics saying? How can we take those lyrics and translate them to the hard times that we're living in? How can the lyrics of Hulukile inspire us in such an amazing time of grief and pain? That, to me, is what a legacy truly is. When a man's work can be relevant 20 years ago, be relevant today, especially today, and be relevant into the future. That's a great legacy of Tsepo Tshola's work.
Absolutely. It's a great privilege from my seat to hear of one legend speaking of another. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Condolences to everyone. Thank you very much.